Just over 1 year ago, I spent 18,000 Rand on a self-improvement course by someone named Julian himself. And despite the fact that I've had this course for a year now, and I've been on self-improvement in general for about 3.5 years now, it's taken me this long to come to one basic yet extremely difficult realization. The majority of what I've been doing up until now won't give me the results I want. The vast majority of what I've done up until this point won't give me the results I actually want. And it won't give you the results you want either. Although intellectually I've known this for a while, it's taken me a very long time to come to terms with and accept because it's a difficult truth. There are two types of advice within self-improvement. There is success advice and there is anti-self-sabotage advice. The majority of what I have been doing for my self-improvement journey is anti-self-sabotage advice. Now, it may seem at first glance that these things are one and the same, but there is a huge difference. Anti-self-sabotage advice is a way to temporarily cope with the things that you struggle with. Success advice is a way to let go of the root cause and truly transcend the experience that you are currently living in. Anti-self-sabotage advice is the equivalent of a combat medic, and success advice is the equivalent of the hospital that they take you to after. The medic in the field will temporarily treat your wounds and keep you stable for the time being, but the hospital is what will actually save your life. Anti-self-sabotage advice is great when you're first starting out, but the problem with it is the fact that it doesn't give you results that are permanent, because the only permanent results come from inner work. Now, in traditional self-help, inner work is what everyone thinks is the easy part. Everyone looks at inner work and thinks that's what people do when they're too afraid to take action. I've come to learn that this common perception is completely backwards. Now, there definitely are some people who will say that they are working internally to avoid taking action, but anyone who's truly working on themselves internally is doing something that most people don't have the courage for, which is to face essentially the fear of death over and over again. The reason I say the fear of death and not simply the fear of the thing that you're actually afraid of is because of the way that this split develops in the first place. The way that this split develops is through childhood experience and conditioning. When you were younger, you had experiences. You would embody certain parts of yourself and either be rewarded or punished for embodying those parts of yourself. This could be something like speaking or shouting very loudly, and you may be rewarded, although more commonly you would be punished. Your parents would tell you to stop being so loud, or tell you that you need to shut up, and as a child, you interpret this as your parents don't love you for that very moment. Now, that's obviously not necessarily true, but as a child, anything that garners disapproval feels like something that threatens your life. The tribe can disown you, and if they disown you, you will die because you have no way to take care of yourself. You understand just how dependent you are on your parents when you are a child, and this is what makes it extremely scary to face any kind of disapproval. Now, as we're adults, we understand that just because your parent yelled at you once, it doesn't mean that they don't love you. But as a child, this is the way that it feels. And so, there is a split that gets created within your subconscious. Parts of yourself that you view as a threat to your survival, you put on the other side of this split, and you never embody those parts of yourself again. Even though you're an adult now, that fear that if you embody this part of yourself again, that your life will be threatened remains. And this is why when you do true internal work, you are literally facing the fear of death. Although you logically understand that this isn't the case, it does nothing to actually take away from the fear that you're experiencing. Most people understand logically that if you sit and do nothing for an hour, you will be perfectly fine. Like nothing will happen to you physically. Like if you sit in your bedroom for an hour, right, and you just do nothing. You sit with your eyes open and you do nothing. You stare at the wall for an hour. Most people understand intellectually that you are going to be 100% physically safe the entire time. Nothing will happen to you. Nothing bad is going to happen, right? But most people can't do that. Most people are terrified of the idea of sitting for an hour with their minds. Most people literally structure their entire lives around avoiding being alone with their own thoughts. Why? Nothing is going to physically happen to you. You're safe. So why do you do that? It's because there literally is the fear of death on the other side. Now, the way that you deal with this fear is by letting go. And people say this all the time, but it's like, how do you let go? Like, what is that? What are you actually doing? And it's not so much something that you do as something that you simply don't do. Because what you're doing right now is resisting. And resisting requires a tremendous amount of mental energy and effort. If you've ever wondered why you feel constantly tired, you feel constantly drained, it feels incredibly difficult to sum up the tiniest bit of willpower, even just to brush your teeth or to eat food. I can almost guarantee you that what is partly responsible for that is the incredible amount of energy you put into resisting. Now, the thing that you're actually resisting is present experience. The way to dissolve your fears for good and re-own that split within yourself so that you begin to feel whole again is to be present with your emotions. Now, people misunderstand this advice a lot. People think, oh, I don't want to wallow in my depression. I don't want to wallow in my anxiety. I don't want to sit around feeling sorry for myself. That's not what I'm advocating for. There's a big difference between letting go and sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. The difference is thought. One single thing, thought. If you sit and you experience an emotion, what's going to happen is that this emotion is likely to produce a lot of thoughts, and your ego is going to trick you into identifying with these thoughts. As you identify with the thoughts, you give it more energy. And this is how people get into very scary and very genuinely stressful thought loops, panic attacks, things like that, is by getting tricked by the ego continually into re-identifying with your thoughts. So how do you stop the thoughts? How do you stop thinking? The muscle of presence is something that you will have to exercise, because most of us have grown up with cell phones taking away every single spare peaceful moment in our lives. And so we're so used to thinking constantly, all the time. The way you actually dissolve the split within is simply by staying present with your emotions. In the beginning, this is very difficult. And even not in the beginning, this is still quite difficult. But it is the thing that will actually work. It is the thing that will actually give you lasting change. And that's worth it. Trust me, that's worth it. Now, the way that I go about this is that I drive in my car and I sit at the bottom of the street. I set a timer on my phone for 1 hour. And I take a journal with in case I want to reflect on things, or in case I come up with a good idea that I want to write down. But also in case I just want to express the things that I'm feeling on paper. I find for me personally that it helps me let go of a lot of these layers of resistance that stop me from experiencing these things, so that I hold on to them for longer than I really need to. So I will sit in my car and basically do nothing. I will allow my mind to produce whatever thoughts it wants, and I will just exercise this muscle of presence, of staying present, trying to exist within my body and not just within my mind. Now, until I've said that, the vast majority of you literally experience life from the head up. Like, you have no idea what the rest of your body feels like because you're so focused on your thoughts that you don't even have any space left to feel your body. By doing this practice of spending an hour trying to just stay present with your experience of yourself, you will notice immediately that it's going to be difficult, but your productivity will go up. Your urge to escape life starts to melt away. Your fear of being alone with your thoughts will start to subside. And this tremendous effort that you've put into constantly resisting, that makes you feel as if you're getting ripped in half all the time, will also start to ease. One of the things that people don't understand is that you don't actually want your anxiety to go away. You don't actually want to never be sad again. You just want to feel whole. When you feel truly whole, even experiences like sadness and deep despair, deep stress become okay. It was one time in my life that I was the most honest with myself, and I just dropped some walls of resistance, some nice deceptions that I was telling myself to try and make myself feel better about things. I dropped all of that once, and I felt better. I was sad, but I didn't mind anymore. I wasn't trying to run away from it. I wasn't trying to force myself to be anything else. I was actually just okay. Despite the fact that I was experiencing difficult emotions, I felt whole and I felt fine. This is what you actually want. I don't think you realize it yet, but that is what you actually want. The thing that we all care about even more than the results that we're trying to strive for is the way that the results make us feel. The thing that all of us truly want, if we're honest with ourselves, isn't necessarily to be insanely fit. It isn't necessarily to be a millionaire. It isn't necessarily to cold shower every single morning. It's just wanting to be accepted regardless. Now, I know a lot of people that are going to misunderstand this are going to flame me in the comments saying that my advice means you must just be complacent with where you are. No, not at all. I'm saying find your self-worth in who you are and not in your achievements. Because if it's based on your achievements, your confidence, your peace of mind, all of that will constantly be up and down for the rest of your life. And everything that you think is going to fulfill you, you're going to find to be empty. But if you find fulfillment in who you are, in being whole, your life circumstance could be bad or it could be good, and you would be okay either way. Because that is what we really want. We want to be okay. I know that the majority of you are not going to take action on this, but I'm going to give you action steps anyway. Spend 1 hour a day sitting, doing nothing. If you're unable to waste an hour, you'll waste your entire life trying to avoid this. Sit for an hour, set a timer, and do nothing. Maybe journal, but sit and do nothing. I'm going to do that every single day from now on, and I hope that some of you join me. It really is that simple. It's hard, but it's simple. Stay present with yourself, especially when you don't feel like it.